Hello, and welcome back to All Things Timpani. I'm Aaron Moss, and in this video, what we're going to focus on from the All Things Timpani section of my book is the tools, the materials, and the supplies that I use and that I suggest throughout this section of the book. Again, these are all my suggestions and the things that I've used over the years. By all means, use what works best for you. And I'm just going to kind of go around, and we're going to start with the section in the timpani section about measuring the head. And I use my timpani jig. You'll be able to find this video on how to make this timpani jig here. And we use this to measure for a head, for the Remo number and the Evans number, and it gives us the measurement of the bowl, the head number, as I said, and when you flip it over, it gives you the timpani ranges based on the bowl size and what you're going to be going to do on the tuning there. So that's the measuring of the head, finding the head size, and all that kind of good stuff from the measuring section. Okay. From there, basically we move to the items for changing a head and servicing the timpani. So I have a wide range of things that I use for changing a head. Again, we get our measurement and change our head, and we need lug wrenches. I suggest 2 so that you can put them on opposite sides and keep things equal. Make sure that you have the appropriate key. Adams is much larger. Changing the head, you're going to need a tuner. And then on the safety side of changing the head, you'll want a 2x4 block of wood that you can put under the toe of the pedal, so it keeps the pedal from slamming and possibly breaking off the tip of the pedal. So we use a block of wood for that. Also, in changing the head, you're going to need some various lubricants. So you remove the tension rods, and I use toothbrushes and shop brushes, and I use either like a carb cleaner in a aluminum pie pan like I have up front here, and clean all the old grease off. If you have an ultrasonic, that works great. You can also put it just in a bucket with some degreaser. I use ZEP 707, the purple 707, and basically so you can clean all these things up. Some of the more harsher chemicals like the carb cleaner, I really use up underneath the pedal mechanisms if I need to turn the timpani over and do the pedal mechanisms and things like that and strip old grease off. But those are some of those things. Like I said, degreaser, carb cleaner, those kinds of things, and the brushes that I use. So you'll need that for servicing when you change the head. And then when you go to put the tension rods back in, a little dip of petroleum jelly, the tip of the tension rod, and also I use the Bach slide grease, the red. This is what I use on the horns, and it works great on the tension rods. So that's the head changing and servicing. When you have the bowl open, when you have the head off and the bowl open, you're going to use air compressor to blow any lint out, wipe it out, various shop rags, wipe it out, window cleaner, clean the inside out, spray with the compressed air, the spider gears, those kinds of things. I use those kinds of things in the process. Okay, so I think that kind of covers lubrication. The spider mechanism, I use Tri-Flow because it doesn't attract dust or dirt as much. And I have two forms of it, the aerosol can, and then I have the micro oiler that you can also get from Tri-Flow to get in the spider gears and nooks and crannies. So all those kinds of things I use for lubrication and things like that. WD-40, possibly, if that's all you got. But I tend to gravitate towards the Tri-Flow products, okay, for lubing all the moving parts so they don't squeak and everything. You flip it over, pedal mechanism maintenance. There's the greased areas of the spring and all of the counter joints and things like that. This is a high temp grease that I use. I just take the shop brush, dig out what I need, and apply it in the underneath in the pedal mechanisms. This is high temperature, so high temperature climate area. This will work good for high temperature climate area. And then for other uses, or another idea that I do use is this is the Reese ball lube for your hitch ball. It's really good. It's a white lithium base. Again, just scoop it out with the shop brush, apply it where you need it. Okay, so these are the two types of grease that I do use, and I pay attention to what kind of product is on the Timpani when I'm inspecting it. If it's the heavier grease, I try to stick with it, and if it's the lighter grease, so I just kind of pay attention to that, and I pay attention to the climate. If it's too hot, it just gets all watery and melted and ends up puddling or dropping on the floor of the band room if you apply too much and it's hot. So those products. Also, I can never say enough, download, Google search for the manual when you're doing service on your Timpani heads. This will answer, I should say, a lot of questions. So there's the manual. Do that when you can. Okay, so that was more or less items for changing the head, servicing the Timpani, things like that. Tuning and ranges. Again, those that may have watched, or you will watch, my tuning jig video, there is the jig itself right there. Okay, with the tuning ranges on it. There's also a chart in my book for that also. Let's talk about dent removal a little bit. You see various hammers in front of me that I use, and back here I also have my magnetic dent ball system. So we'll start with the hammers. I use a product from McMaster-Carr to cover my hammers. You're dealing with a copper bowl. You don't want to scratch it. You don't want to try to flake any lacquer or coating that is on the bowl. So this is just a slip film adhesive that I put on my hammers for dent work. It's from McMaster-Carr, and this will be in the description. I'll put all of the things that I purchased and different things in the description in the bottom of this video. The other thing, that I missed, excuse me, I'll backtrack just 1 second, on the Timpani bowl is I have my Teflon tape over here. Not all Timpani come with that new style Teflon covering around the bearing edge or lip of the bowl. So you can buy this product also from McMaster-Carr. I'll include the link in the bottom. This is an adhesive-backed Teflon tape, and it's about $18 a roll, and it will do an entire set of 4 Timpani. So I missed that. I apologize. Go back to that. You can get that from McMaster Carr. We were on to dent removal. Dent removal tools and materials. I was talking about my hammers and my slip adhesive. I cover them all. So I have two types of dead blows here, and these are just basic dead blows from Harbor Freight. Okay, this is the 1 pound dead blow from Harbor Freight, and that is the slip covering that I put over one face, and so now I'm able to safely work on the copper bowl. This is another Harbor Freight dead blow that has two angles, a horizontal and a vertical angle. Again, covering the ends with the slip tape. A tip here on the slip tape, the adhesive is really good, but when you go to put it on here, you'll want to take some acetone fingernail polish remover, and you'll want to wipe it down really good, and it'll adhere really well to the dead blow. You'll notice on this dead blow, I followed it up with some electrical tape around the edge just to help hold it on there. Like I said, the adhesive is good, but it just helps hold it on there when under shock. Here's another Harbor Freight dead blow. This is supposed to be the non-marking side, and for the most part, it is. It has a white powder, but on the black side that does leave a mark, I put the protection on there. Another Harbor Freight is their body and fender Delrin nylon. And then this is an old Craftsman that I've had forever. You can see it's pretty beat up. I've used this one pretty religiously. This is the old Craftsman model. This is what I actually really started with and got accustomed to. And I end up gravitating back to this, even though I have all the other stuff. We all have tools that we gravitate back to, you know, that we feel are our tried and true or our old friend. This is the old Craftsman. It has rubber on one side and nylon on the other, and of course our rawhide. Again, using those in dent removal. Talk a little bit about the magnetic dent ball. It came up, magnetic dent ball came up in a question in one of my other clinics. It works. I didn't have a lot of time to spend on elaborating, but it works mainly on the smaller dents, not the larger, huge, like dessert plate dent size that just boom in the side. The magnetic dent balls work really well in the smaller areas. Okay, further along with dents, I've customized some things over time. Sometimes you'll need just various size wood blocks, 2x4, 1x2, whatever, just a few things. Sometimes you need just some different size blocks to use as a wooden dolly when you're hammering on the inside, and you have a dolly on the outside when you need to move the metal around. Otherwise, most of the time you're feeling with your hand and feeling how that dent's moving. Another thing that I use is hockey pucks on the outside as a dolly, okay, to dolly out the dent. And then this is a modified hockey puck. You'll notice that I've drilled a 1-inch hole offset of it. What that does is that gives me some shock absorption, and it's not as rigid as the solid hockey puck, so I can hold it up to the edge of the copper bowl and work on the inside and have a little bit softer feel and workability with that. Acts like a leaf spring or a shock absorber in dollying out the dent. So that's something that I've come across in my time. This is a wood 2x4 that I've sanded and modified up. It has peel and stick craft felt around the outside, so that if I have a highly finished bowl like this Yamaha over here, you know, the Ludwig over here has seen better days. Most of the time it's got so many scratches on it The band director is just happy to get the dents out of it, make the sound improve on it. You know, we don't want to put any more scratches in there than we have to. But again, that's what the craft belt's for, is making sure that we keep scratches off. If I get real worried about any of the wood products that I use on a highly finished mold like the Yamaha behind me, I'll of course wrap felt around these, or I'll use the slip tape. Okay. The tape that you can buy from the brass protection tape that comes in a 2-inch roll that you can get from Allied or Votaw, you know, all of them have it. That works great too to cover up this stuff in a temporary fashion for your dent work. Okay. The other things that I have customized and made over time is various nylon, Delrin angles. Okay, so where these came from is actually, this is an old cutting board that I found at the flea market. So I found a couple of them actually, one that was 3/8 of an inch thick cutting board and one that was a 1/2 inch thick cutting board. And I just took the cutting board and I cut out the various pieces. The cutting board's made out of nylon, some of them are made out of Delrin, and they work great for these kinds of things that you're just going to cut up and need. So what these shapes are is these are shapes to get underneath the curved rim or lip of the bowl. So let's say for some reason something hit the lip, put a little dent in it, and you got to work that dent up. These are all various angles to be able to get it up underneath that and be able to hammer up on it. Okay. Then there's another tool from Red Wing, and this is their brass bell lip pulling tool that they show you how to make on their YouTube channel, on the Red Wing YouTube channel. So yes, this works great for the purpose that they intended it for, but I found the use for it for timpani. So you can actually hook this on the lip of the timpani bowl and use your puller and pull that dent up on the lip of the timpani bowl. So this Red Wing tool doubles as a lip pulling tool for the timpani. If you haven't made one and you haven't gone to the Red Wing YouTube channel, I'll try to find it for you and connect it to the description and the link in the bottom of this video. It's easy to make. It took me maybe like 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes to make it. Okay? And it hangs right next to my slide hammer on my pegboard. I think I covered everything. All the different products, all the different things I use, from the Windex all the way down. I hope this is helpful. Like I said, if you have some other products that you use, great. But this is kind of the core set of materials and things that I use for dent removal. Again, if you're interested in my jig, look for that video on my YouTube channel and make that. I hope this was informative. Thank you for watching. And for my book, go to NAPBIRT.org for purchasing my book. Again, thank you for watching, and like and subscribe. Thank you again.